All right, we are live. Hey, y'all. I'm joking. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Life Matters podcast. This is me. You know me, Kiana. Kiana loves you. If you're not following me on social media, remember Kiana Loves Me is the way to go, or the Life Matters Project. We are going to be focusing on how not to lose yourself for the sake of validation for other people. We tend to run into that a lot on our journey, especially if you're a people pleaser and trying not to fit into a mold and fit into a box just to make other people happy, and you lose who you are on your journey to whoever it is that you are meant to be, right? And there's balance in that. We have an amazing guest who I love to absolute pieces, Miss Adrienne Carwheel, all the way from the East Coast, Philadelphia. How are you, young lady?
Hey, Kiana, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, the weather here is fantastic. I love it. We got just a smidge of overcast, but we are at a clean 77, 78 with ocean breeze. I can't complain.
Yeah.
How is it going on your end, and how is it going with work and business?
Well, weather-wise, we are not the same, and I'm okay with that. We have an ocean, not too far, but it doesn't have a breeze here in Philly. I'm good with that. We don't have the smog, but we're doing all right over here weather-wise. Business-wise, wow. So I have this show called Healing Habits at Home with Adrienne Carwheel, and I think this last year I've had to hone in on what healing habits were for myself. And so when you ask me how it's going, I say it's going really, really well, in the sense that it had to start with me. It had to start with me being at home with my children, with my husband for many, many months. And that could go either way. It could be, oh, I'm so happy to be with my family, or all y'all need to go outside somewhere. So the healing habits that I'm talking about definitely had to start with me. What I desired, what I liked, what I needed in order to kind of be all right with being inside under quarantine, and then emerging from that, keeping some of the things that I like, and then getting rid of the things that didn't work and won't work, continuing moving forward. So it's going well. Thank you for asking.
That's really good. Speaking of, just being on that journey and having habits and things like that, diving into today's topic on losing yourself, right, for the validation or approval or acceptance of other people. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of people, because this is an open conversation where, we're all talking about real things, this is a journey that we're all on, and it's a process, and there are a lot more similarities than differences. And I recognize that I have a habit of losing Kiana by trying to be a great mother, or losing Kiana trying to be the role of CEO, or all these other different titles. A friend of mine said, I recently got married, and I dived in head first into the role of a wife, and I've gotten so busy being a wife, and then also being, an employee, and then focusing on getting a raise so that I can get this higher position. And I find myself, I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where like all these swords are going these different ways, but she's like, I'm going this way, doing this, serving him, serving them, serving that, but I'm not serving myself. And I feel like I'm losing me for other people. Have you ever heard of that or experienced that?
Well, I think I might be a little bit different. And I mean, I have 20 years under the belt of being married. But I also have, girl, well, just listen. I think I had to give myself permission and say, it's okay to put me first. It's okay. I don't have to fit into this definition that says my husband needs this and I need to do this, this, this. My children have this and I need to do this, this, this. But more of honestly starting the day with God, what do you have for me for this day? How can I serve you, Lord, in this way? And everything else is an overflow of that, rather than this rat race of looking at this comparison of what this prototype, you talk about your friend with the role of women, you know, those definitions, I'm sure, are ancient in the sense of it was passed down through generations. For people who happen to be Christian, it is passed down through the Bible, through other religious traditions. It is through what grandmothers and mothers have taught their daughters on how to be. And so for me, I think as a wife and as a mother, I'm the first person who teaches my girls by what they see me doing in my life. So if they see me running around like crazy and I'm on empty and I've done like everything is perfect, the beds are made, the dinner's hot, my legs are open and everything, I mean, you know, later, but everything's fine. Mm-hmm. And then somehow I've lost myself to that process. That's not okay for me. And I'm grateful and thankful for a husband who understands, respects, appreciates, and reinforces that. So I just went to Chicago, like just recently, and I'm like, Mama needs some time. All y'all get on my nerves, and that's okay. We all been in the house for a year and a half, and I had to get to Adrienne the woman, Adrienne the person. And my husband was like, yo, you need to go? Go ahead and go. So I roller skated. I mean, like learned how after all these years. Wow. Like for California, it would be Venice, you know, Venice Beach. But for Chicago, there's something called the JB style. And it's like that dance skate. And I got to learn from the dude who created it. I mean, how cool is that? You know, so then I also did double dutch. You know, hanging out with women with like 50, 60. Yeah, it was crazy. It's this double dutch group and it's like 50, 60, sometimes 70 women out weekly in multiple locations where they double dutch. And it's this fitness, health, and fun. And they get together. So I plugged into that. And, you know, I had the ceviche and I had the high heels and the makeup and out with my, you know, my sisters. But I took the time to say, all right, I have served, meaning my family being connected and intentional and taking the tools that I needed to survive something very wild going on in the world. Mm-hmm. And being able to help the little people in my life to navigate those big emotions and those big things that they were experiencing as well. So I think as far as balance is concerned, if I were to be like, okay, well, let me just put everything away that's important to me in order to serve them, or let me just stop everything. What do I have to give? If I don't stop and take those moments for myself that refuel, that rejuvenate, that revitalize me so that I can be even more available to be present. Because if I'm sitting there, you know, like a bump on a log because my mind is elsewhere, my heart is elsewhere, my spirit is elsewhere, what good am I? I am of no use to God. I'm of no use to my family. And I really am no good for myself. So that balance is ever seeking and ever recalibrating, but it's so crucial to just survival for me.
I think that's really important. That's balance, right? And it's not always easy. And the thing is the recalibrating is very important because as you grow, you change and you learn new things and you want to try new things and you need to consistently, people always say, I need to reinvent myself, but I always say, I need to take some time and get to know myself again. Who am I at this age and stage and phase in my life? Are there some habits that I have that don't serve, you know, who I am today or who I'm growing into be or who I would like to be in my future? And one of the things is I always feel as though sometimes I can get so busy, focused on being a lot of things to everyone that I have to stop and say, I'm not being enough things to me and to myself, right? And I think a lot of that stems from maybe having some abandonment issues, feeling like I need to always be everything to everybody all the time so that I don't lose them. And sometimes being in fear of losing people's support or losing people's love or losing friends or not being approved of by family or whomever, that you decide to kind of tuck your needs away and tuck your wants and tuck away that time that you know you need for yourself to receive that validation from everybody else so that you're within good standing for everybody else. But again, you lose you when you do that, and then your kids grow up, and then you're just left with you or your significant other. And now it's like, well, what's left? I spent so much time in this career or in this relationship or as, all of these titles that I lost myself. I no longer know myself and I didn't get the time to myself. And you don't want to be in this world, alive and not living. You're alive and you're here for others, but you're not living a life for you that is of value and of purpose. And I think like I said, me doing that was my wanting the attention from my parents or my grandparents, and then always wanting the attention from teachers and so on and so forth. So I always made sure I did the right thing. I said the right thing. I showed up as, who they wanted to be. And it wasn't until probably in my mid to late 20s where I was just like, I don't even know who I am. I'm making all these bad money decisions. I'm making all these bad life choices. I'm making all these horrible choices. And even the people that I'm dating, because they're dating someone that I don't even know. And I don't even know if I like. This is not even me. Who is me? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No. Who is me? Let me stop. Let me start telling people, no more. I have to start telling people no. And I can't do things for your acceptance. I cannot make choices and decisions for my life in order for you to stay. If your love is conditional, then it needs to be released. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if your love is conditional, let me go ahead and let you leave.
Yeah.
Because I am going to be who I am, right?
Yeah, for sure. A long time ago, I think I dropped that narrative that I needed to be something that I'm not. And the self-acceptance, the self-awareness, the self-compassion that I needed in order to evolve to the person who fully accepts herself, all my flaws, all of my past, all of my experiences, it took a whole lot, to get here and to say it's all right. And somebody else, like I always say that people can only love you as much as they love themselves. And so I stopped having the expectations, that feeling put upon as far as time, put upon as far as like expectations. I stopped that at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Auditorily, visually, sometimes like emotionally, spiritually, saying, oh, no, I won't be doing that. And sometimes it's not even a word that I say, but it's an action that I take. We live in this, present company included, we live in this world where we are on the internet. Everybody's on the internet. We are connected in so many ways. And with intention and with purpose, I disconnect, so that, all parts of my life are not on display. I am a very open person, but I'm also very private. And so I don't take these, comparison traps, I call them, or looking at somebody else's life and saying, that I aspire to be like somebody else, or I want my life to be fashioned after that person. I'm like, I'm good where I'm at. And I'm evolving and growing and changing on a regular basis. And I pray that it's an example for my kids that they can experience life accepting themselves for no matter what they experience, and that they can learn from both of us, how to be. And it's through knowing who they are really little. Like the little one, my tiniest one, she's into gymnastics and she's into twirling around. And she'll stop and, she'll start twirling and she'll say, "Oh, is that okay?" I'm like, "Girl, you better twirl." Like, at some point someone told her that wasn't okay. And yes, everything is not okay for every setting. But when she's home and she's comfortable and she's twirling and doing her thing and practicing, thinking she's a part of like Alvin Ailey dance, company, girl, go ahead and do you. I show her examples of, oh, well, this is, Misty Copeland, or, this is the Joffrey Ballet, or this is, the New York Ballet Dance Company. And she can envision herself, her future self, for what she wants to be and do. So I cultivate, or at least I try to cultivate an environment at home where I'm free first, and then my girls see that freedom, and then they can opt in and choose that freedom for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, there's balance. There's balance. And even me as a mother, I tend to I'm very nurturing, and I find a lot of my value and my worth being able to pour into others. And I have to make sure I need to pour into myself. One of the things that I say, give yourself some grace when it comes to overextending, right? So that you can prove to people that you support them. You can prove to people that you're a good friend. You can prove to people that you're a good mom by doing absolutely every single thing that everybody expects you to do at the time that they expect you to do it. And you just kind of got to say no. And that
you leave yourself burned out. And then what? Nobody's going anywhere, because who's driving when you can't even function?
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, when, like, for example, I had to tell my son no. I had to tell, my godparents no. I can't be everything to everybody and still be all the things that I need to be for myself. And that's not balanced. And I'm wiped out and I'm tired. And I'm tired. And the amount, and one of the things is being able to kind of deal with the backlash. It's not easy telling people no. Everybody wants to say, set up your healthy boundaries, tell people no. But it's like, well, that shit is not easy all the time. And then you have to deal with people wanting to, like I said, cut you off or not wanted to, I guess, invite you to the party. I don't care. I'm okay with not being liked. I'm okay with not being approved of. There's a lot of things that I do and a lot of morals and values and standards and boundaries that I have that are based off of my personal experiences, right? And everybody is not going to accept everything that I do that I do for my own validation, right? But you have not had my experiences. You have not walked my walk. You have not, this is my story to tell. This is my life to live, right? And at the end of the day, I have to be able to know that I showed up for myself. Yeah. And you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Yeah. If you're not respecting your own boundaries, if you're not confident in yourself and setting the tone for yourself, you're setting the tone for every single relationship that you're in, and you allow people to disrespect you. And then you want to get mad and just say, don't talk to me this way. Don't treat me like that. But you do it to you.
Hello.
You do it to you. You allow your kids to do it to you, or you allow your significant other to do it to you, or your family, or your friend. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And you don't allow people, you don't have balance in your own life. You know what I mean? Which makes you a hypocrite. And you can't trust what you say. Exactly. And they can't take you seriously, and they can't respect you because you're showing people that you don't do it with yourself.
Kiana, okay, I made this observation very recently. Well, I mean, I've known it for a while, but I have a boundary. And the boundary is when I am with someone in their physical space, I don't pick up my phone. And so what I did was I watched how many people, as they were with someone else, that they were picking up the phone and FaceTiming and calling other people while they're in the presence of either a loved one or a friend or a colleague or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I pick up my phone if it's an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm talking to you, I'm with you. And what I noticed is when I put up that boundary that says, you don't have access to me all day, every day. Just because I have a phone doesn't mean that I'm on the phone with you. And I don't care who it is. So the balance that I require for myself is if I'm enjoying a meal, I am eating with my eyes. I am eating with my ears. I'm hearing the crackling sound of, sizzling, whatever. I am tasting it. I'm having an experience, whether it's by myself or with a loved one. Why would I answer the phone? Why? So you need me to say, hey girl, what shirt you want me to wear for this? No.
People, how much access we allow?
No, I'm not doing it.
In this life, we're not present enough. And then again, because we don't exercise our own principles, and half of us don't know ourselves. Hence the reason why it's easy to be something for other people when you don't know who you need to be for yourself.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? And one of the things that I've learned, and it was really hard when you said people can only love you at, to the extent of, how they love themselves. Pushing on that is also, you have to be able to respect people's capacity to love based off of their experiences. So most people love themselves a little because that's all they're capable of giving to themselves. But that is not my problem to have. That is not my experience. And that is not something that I'm going to participate in alongside of you. If all you can do, I can share with you, this is how I receive love, right? This is how I express my love. Is this something you can handle? And vice versa. No one has those type of conversations. And so instead of saying, that's not enough for me, we mold ourselves into accepting the limited amount that people are able to give. And then we spend our lives upset later on that we have lived a life of complete unfulfillment.
Absolutely.
Because we're everything to everybody else, and we accepted bare minimum.
Yeah. Who told us that was okay? Like, who started that? Like, if there was TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, I know the origin of that, it was a certain people who started it. But for these rules, for these norms, for these expectations, particularly we're speaking about women and our experiences, who said, okay, here's the list of rules that you must follow. And if you deviate from this, then you are less than. You sun up to sundown. Sun up to sundown. You have to be this and be that and do this under these guidelines.
Right.
I simply question it.
The men, and this is what masculinity looks like. This is how you have to be in order to be validated, in order to be approved. This is how you show up in the world. This is how you show up in relationships. Same thing for the women. This is how you show up in a marriage. This is how you show up for work. This is how you show up in society. And this has to be good enough. And this has to be okay. And we are not setting the tone for our lives. We haven't taken the time to know ourselves. We are not aware of our wants, of our likes, of our dislikes. We are unaware of our needs. We are unaware of who we are. So it's easy for us to kind of, what's the word? Conform, right? Into what other people need, because we have this strong desire to be needed so badly by everybody outside of ourselves. first. And I'm completely, totally against that. And it's because, mom and dad did it that way, or grandma and grandpa did it that way, or that's how it's always been, right? But does that work for you in your life? When I think about it, when I really think about it, I don't want to do things the way my grandparents did things, because at the end of the day, I don't think my grandmother was very happy. I think she tolerated a whole lot. I feel like she lost herself being a grandmother, being a mother, being she just, and I can look at that as an adult, as a woman within myself, secure in myself. And I wish I could go back in time and set her free. I wish I could go back in time and set my mother free and say, you don't have to make these choices and decisions to approve of, of Nana. Or for my abuela. You don't have to do that. Be who you are. Know who you are. You are more than the best way you can be a great mother to me is to know you, and is to love you, and encourage me to know me and experience me and love me without these false expectations of womanhood. And it's okay to know you before you become something for somebody else. We're so quick to become a significant other. We're so quick to become an employee. We're so quick to become, a specific type of parent, that we're not quick enough to be us. You understand what I'm saying? And then, here we are showing up in the world looking for validation, conforming for acceptance, conforming and not living with any form of peace. And then we spend all this money trying to get peace, putting in Botox because we done earned all these wrinkles, earned all this, earned all the stress that we're carrying in our body, and wondering why our organs aren't functioning, or all this dis-ease has happened in our life, which now we're experiencing as a disease. You understand what I'm saying? And all because it's a cycle that has to break. There's a balance that has to happen. There's an awareness that has to happen. There's a validation and a knowing of yourself that has to happen. If not, you will absolutely never be a whole person, which means you're going to half-ass your career. You're going to half-ass your relationships. You're going to half-ass, the relationship you have with yourself and to others. And you're going to live half of your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. You like, does it make sense? Of course it makes sense.
I know I could go on a rant, but it really bothers me, because you can see it. You can see it in the world that we live in. I see it on TV. I see it in movies. I see it with people sometimes that I interact with in the day-to-day. And I'm just like, I don't think you know who you are. I think you're experiencing life being something or someone that other people need you to be. And I
don't think that we have to sacrifice ourselves. And I think that in and of itself is a personal question that you have to ask yourself. Am I sacrificing myself? If the answer is yes, do I want to? If the answer is yes to that, why? But if the answer is no, then what can I do within myself to change that? What's around me? What support do I have around me? For me, it's my spouse. For me, it's my kids, my career, my business. To say, I'm going to say yes to the things that I want to say yes to. Not because I'm trying to please anybody else, but because it's what I desire. Does that mean I make sacrifices for my husband and my children? Absolutely. Every single day. But I will never, ever compromise who I am, what I think, like that. I have an opinion that I am valued and worthy and intelligent and able to think breadth and depth, that I am able to interact in the world, and that God has a purpose and a plan for my life that doesn't include shrinking. And that's not arrogance. That is confidence in the purpose that God has set for me. And so I think sometimes, particularly in some of the circles that I run in, it is this, the Bible talks about taking up your cross and following Christ. Absolutely. But I think that the take up part is kind of like an introspection and saying, Lord, what do we have to do with this life, rather than, no, don't see me, don't hear me, I'm just going to give up my life for the comfort of other people around me. That's not what it is. It's not what it is. And it's unhealthy, it's imbalanced. And again, like you talked about, the dis-ease of, I know women in generations before me, they died early because they did sacrifice themselves. Their organs were shutting down. Their minds were shutting down. Their hearts were shutting down, to where they lived these lives. And I'm not talking about from the lack of advancement in technology where they passed early. I'm talking about just not being able to see themselves as worthy to pursue the balance that's necessary to live this life. And, talking about like generational change and like revolution, and to say, now that I know better and I know how my body responds when I don't feel well and I'm not connected to the ways that the prescription is supposed to go, then I just don't take the pill. Like I don't take it. If this is a prescription that says you have to be or you have to do X, Y, Z, I said, no, thank you. That don't even have my name on it. That prescription is not for me. It might be for you. Take 2 of these, take 2 of sacrificing yourself and your peace of mind and your pursuits and your desires for the sake of, in my particular case, a family or a husband. And no, you can thrive. And here is the blessing. Here's the openness and the vastness of God's creation for you, functioning as the woman I created you to be, rather than taking this thing that says you are prescribed to be X, Y, Z.
Yeah. Like I said, the best thing I could be for anybody is the authentic, honest, human version of myself, and knowing me and not conforming into what everybody else needs me to be, but for everybody to understand and respect who I am. And even when you think about, when you go back to, Jesus, not ever have I even went through the Bible and saw that Jesus tried to be what everybody else needed him to be, how they needed him to be it. You either going to accept him as he is and how he does, what he does all the time, or you are not. You're either going to follow or you are not. You're either going to, do you understand what I'm saying? Those core principles and those core values. It's like, no, I need balance. I need 40 days and 40 nights away from all of you all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you are the ultimate example of self-care.
Exactly. You cannot tempt me to be what you need me to be. You cannot offer me anything that is going to make me devalue who I know I am and whose I am and the purpose that I have. I am so solid with who I am and my spirit and my being and my worthiness, that is not up for sale. That is not something that I'm going to sacrifice, not for anyone. And Jesus was the ultimate lover of everyone. And that is not the sacrifice that he was going to be giving for you.
Absolutely.
Sacrificing on the cross, yes, but you are not, I feel like that is a part of the following that we are missing. The whole point and purpose, like I said, of the Life Matters journey, of Life Matters, period, is loving yourself first, because the Lord said, love yourself, and then love your neighbor, love everyone else, your significant other, your children, your family, love everyone else the way you love you, as you love you. So for me, if I neglect me, I neglect you. If I disrespect me and my values and my principles, if I don't take the time to balance me out and fill me up, that's not loving. I don't love you. I cannot. And you don't love yourself if you're willing to accept this half-assed love from me. And you know what I mean? And you don't love me if you are even allowing me to strip me. If you're watching me disrespect me and you don't speak up,
you don't love me.
Like, you don't really love me. And I'm just like, dang, do you do that to you? But these are like the little small things that people don't really pay attention to, and that I now pay attention to. So with all of that, make sure that you are not sacrificing who you are and what you have to offer for the validation, for the approval, for the support, for the conditional love. Because if it's unconditional, then people will love your authentic self and they will give you what you need so that you can continue to better your best, right? And understand, and they will understand as well as you understand how to have that healthy balance. Take the time to find that balance. Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. You may not be able to take off work for 40 days. If you can, God bless you, but you have the weekend for yourself to take time for you, to know what you like. What in your life is not being fulfilled? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel like you're adding value to yourself? Do you feel like you're adding value to the world? Are you stressed? Are you caring for you? Are you still enough to say, you know what, my body don't feel right today. Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to work out? Do I need to take the time, balance it out so that you can know you enough to know who you need to show up in the world to be as you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, definitely. It is, it's crucial. It's crucial for our own survival, to not only over time, but every single day to
Right.
choose what's important to you, to prioritize and be still enough, like you were saying, so that you can hear sort of what's supposed to be next, so that all of that other noise doesn't crowd out the very still small voice, at least in me, that says, Adrienne, keep going. Adrienne, you're okay.
Yep.
And the where you were talking about earlier, the love that, giving out love that seeks validation in return, that's not love. It's simply not love, but loving yourself first, as your whole premise is, your whole movement is, but it's true. It's true. Every single day we live out our lives. And if we take the simplicity of that message to say, love yourself first, and it's not selfish, it's actually the fuel for you to love others.
Right. Is that your life tip? I want before we wrap up for you to. Yeah. I was gonna say, I want you, before we wrap up, because we have just a couple of minutes, what would be your life tip for others? But I'm like, shoot, I feel like she said. What?
I guess that would be it. Yeah.
What is the life tip? Is that the life tip that you would want to, loving yourself first tip you would want to give to people to take away with?
I would say gentleness, and not necessarily with others, although that is a great tactic to get along, but everybody's not gentle. Everybody's not soft, and we got to move and adjust accordingly. But I mean gentleness inside of at least my own body. That when things bubble up that might be triggers from the past or memories of things that we've done wrong or said wrong. And for me, I perseverate and I ruminate about just silly stuff that I've done or said in the past to try to go back and fix it. And then I say, gentle. Meaning that if I stay in the past and I play those old tapes of the scenarios, the crazy situations that I put myself in, either where I've put my foot in my mouth or I've said or done something, to say, wait, gentle. Mm-hmm. And so I say that to my daughters all the time, like when they were little, and they were playing with one another, particularly the little one playing with the big one. She was smacking her in her face, she was still learning, a little tiny. But I would say, gentle. You can touch her, but be gentle. And I think we don't say that enough to ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We put ourselves on this pedestal, and then somehow we can't stay on that pedestal, and we knock ourselves down before anybody else can see us. We hold ourselves to these impossible standards. So I guess if anybody were to ask for their own lives, like gentle, soft, kind, gracious, and slow. it doesn't have to be on anybody else's timetable that you grow and you change and you evolve. It is, by God's will that we even have this life. So to be gentle with yourself and not follow anybody else's prescription or anybody else's standard for what living this life looks like. That's balance for me. And that's the plug and the tip.
That's a life tip.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. I really hope that you were able to take away as many gems and as many nuggets from this authentic, real conversation and apply these tips and tools onto your journey to be kind and to be gentle and to be authentic to who you are and extend some balance and some grace to yourself, right? Not to conform. And that really is the show for today. Thank you so much, Adrienne, for coming on. And I absolutely love and appreciate you. How can people find you and support you with the work that you're doing?
Well, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity just to talk to you and then to talk about what's so important to you and how it fits into my daily life as well. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So thank you. I own a company called the Natural Home Network, and I have a show called Healing Habits at Home with Adrienne Carwheel. You can check it on all internet platforms Wednesdays at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can catch up by visiting me on Instagram at either Adrienne Carwheel or going to the Natural Home Network. And you can click on the link in bio and catch up on the old episodes. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions about what you see or what you hear. And I look forward to just seeing you guys online. So thanks again.
All right. Take care, everybody. And remember that your life matters. Bye.
Bye.